Welcome again for another lesson for our class 1304, which is graphics in general. Today we will be start talking about one of the most famous softwares that we've been using in the last 20 plus years to help engineers draw, design, and eventually model things, and that would be AutoCAD. I'm pretty sure most of you heard about it before. AutoCAD's been there since 1982. The company that created AutoCAD, it's called Autodesk, and the first version of AutoCAD was released in 1982. So you could tell again, it's been there for quite a bit, but over the years, it's been evolving, and nowadays, it's as I said, it's becoming not just a drawing tool like what it used to be when it was created originally. Now it's becoming a tool to draw, design, and eventually model 2D drawings as well as 3D drawings. So first thing before we get going, how can you get your own copy of this software? So I'll walk you through some of the steps that you would need to do to have your own copy. The good thing about the company Autodesk, they understand that students do not again have the best financial status while they're studying, so they are offering a 3 years educational version for all the students who are studying at the university. So how to do this? You need to go to any internet browser and type this here. So you would type AutoCAD 2016 Student Educational version download. Once you do this, the very first option, once you click, is going to show you AutoCAD free download. You would click on it, and then as a first time user, you would need to create an account. Creating an account, again, is not a big deal. All what you need to have, again, some basic information, your name and your email address. So once you do this, you will now select the version so that you are interested in. So here, as you're gonna see, you need to know what version do you need to use, and I recommend you to use the latest version, which is 2016. And then operating system, what is your operating system? It can be Windows, it can be Mac. So you've got to do that, and also not just the Windows. If it's Windows 9, 8, or 10, and if it's 32 bits versus 64 bits, that's gonna make a difference. So you've got to make sure to know your computer configuration before you go ahead and download the software. And then language. So again, once you hit on create an account, it's gonna open up again. You see here, get educational benefits and all that. So it's gonna ask you for what's the country, what's your educational role. Pretty much you're a student, and you're gonna select a country, and that will be the US. And then you would put your date of birth, and then the rest of the steps is gonna be lots of next and yes and accepting this step after the step. So always look again for AutoCAD 2016. So assuming again you have the software, and once you open up the software, this is how is it gonna look like. Again, AutoCAD has been evolving, as I said, and it has so many tools that you can use. We will try to cover as much as possible, especially again for the basics. But as I always tell my students, learning AutoCAD is like learning a new language. You've got to practice it, you've got to do lots of homeworks, you've got to spend some time until you have that high proficiency in it. I'll be again trying to cover as much as I can in the limited time that we have, but I highly recommend you to just look up online as simple as YouTube tutorial. Again, I'm not gonna hide it because it's there, and I'm gonna show you some AutoCAD tutorials on YouTube that I highly recommend you to watch them because they are gonna go through more details. So as I said, I'm gonna give you the basics that you would need, and you would be doing great things with it, and that will be more than enough. But also there's a lot of other commands, other things, other icons that we may not use on a daily basis as a drafter or as a drawer, but you might as well get to learn it. So again, I'll show you those in a minute. So once you open AutoCAD, this is what you're gonna see. Most of the laptops nowadays, again, they can handle having AutoCAD, but the download itself, it can take up to, again, 20 or 30 minutes depending on how good is your laptop or what's the configuration of the computer. And something again that I want you to know also, what does it mean, CAD? AutoCAD. CAD is computer aided design software. So it's not just, AutoCAD is not the only one. It's one of the most famous ones that's been again going on and it's been there for years. But if I ask you in an exam or if someone asks you this in an interview, you should know it. CAD is again computer aided drawing. Back in the days, all these drawings, they used to be by hand, and the engineers and drafters would spend a lot of time doing it by some simple tools to draw that. Nowadays, that's not the case, and we can do much more using computer aided design softwares. And again, AutoCAD is one of them. So once you open AutoCAD, this is what you're going to see. This is pretty much the welcome screen, if you will. You can say here you can get started by just starting drawing. If you did not, if this is your first time, if you have any documents that you opened it before, you're gonna see it here in the middle. This is recent documents, or you can click here open files or other options, as you can see here. And here also it can show you some notification. You can even add mobile to your CAD, or you can again access from different ways, or you can connect. As I said, once you open an account, you will be able to sign in using AutoCAD 360. This is the way, again, they are signing into their system. So you can sign in, you can send the feedback if you have any issue. Sometimes, again, all of a sudden AutoCAD is giving you a hard time. You can send an instant feedback and they can reply to you either by email or maybe, again, sometimes by chatting. So that's also a good tool to keep in mind. So with that, I can just click here, start drawing. I'm not going to start drawing. Again, I'm going to walk you through some of the basic functions for this lesson, but this is the way to get rid of this welcome page and get going with the software itself. So once you click that, all of a sudden now, again, all the welcome page is gone, and what you see here is the major or the main page here. So AutoCAD again has different pieces that you get to learn how to use them and how to activate them. So first here you have again lots of icons, you have lots of tabs. This is similar to the new way of designing the office like Microsoft Word and Excel. So you have the home button or the home tab, you have insert, you have annotate, you have parametric, you have view, you have manage, output, add-ins, A360, and by then again things get now more detailed and more advanced. Express tools, featured applications if you have one, BIM, all the way to performance. We will be in this course concentrating more on the home tabs as well as some of the insert and annotating as well as viewing tools. So this is again, those are the tabs. Up here, what you can see here, you can save as. So once you open up AutoCAD for the first time, and this is for your first time saving things, it's going to be save as. But if you do have a drawing going on and you want to keep saving it, that's what you click here, save. There's another icon here to open files, and this is new. How can you open up a new drawing? You can click on it here, or you can just click on this plus icon here. Once you click on it, it's going to open now another drawing. So every page or every sheet here, it has a drawing, it has a name. Drawing 1 and drawing 2, and if you keep clicking, it's going to open up again a drawing number 3. So that's here. Another thing that I'll talk more about it, the help file. So you click to access the help file, and I'm going to show you again how important is that one. I highly recommend you, once you have an account with Autodesk, to sign in. Again, it's going to add up much more value to the software. And if you go now all the way down here, this is the command line. This should be your friend. This should be the place where you would always keep an eye on. So many times you would be drawing things in AutoCAD and all of a sudden AutoCAD is not listening to you or is not doing what you're expecting to do because there's some message down there here that AutoCAD is expecting you to do something but you're not doing it. So you've got to always to know how to read it and how to again work with it. Back in the days when I had AutoCAD about 10 years ago, there were not that many icons here, and the only way we dealt with AutoCAD was basically by commands. What does that mean? That means every single drawing or every single piece of drawing, it needed a certain command, and we learned how to remember all these commands. For example, if I wanna draw a line, I would go to the command line and can type line and I would hit enter. Okay, yeah, so it's line, you hit enter. And again, now once you put this, AutoCAD is expecting you to specify the first point. Any line, as you may know, it has a first point and it has an end point, and so on and so forth. So, and in this course, I will try my best to show you the two ways of drawing things using AutoCAD. You can do it by a simple click, like if you go all the way to the Home tab and click the very first icon here, line. This is how you can activate or ask AutoCAD to start drawing a line. Or you can draw things and do most of the things using the command line. You can get to know how the command lines go. So far we have the icons. We have again lots of tabs, and every tab has its own icons. We have this tab right here. This is a simple save as, open, new file, as well as undo and redo, similar to again Microsoft Office products. And sign in. You have a command line all the way here. There's another line here. This is to help us in the next lessons. How are we gonna do things, or how can we have a quick access to things? For example, one of those things is, again, we call it orthography. How can if I want to draw everything in certain drawing with 90 degrees lines that they are either horizontal or vertical. There is no inclination, there is no angles. I can strict AutoCAD to do that. But again, we're going to learn it a bit by a bit. So for now, let's start the very first command that you would really need to learn and you would like. Very first thing is help. This is a brand new software for most of you, and even for some of you, if you have some experience, you would still appreciate sometimes some help. So to activate the help file to show up in AutoCAD, you've got to click F1. F1 on your all what you need to click again F1 on your keyboard, and once you do this, that's what you're gonna see. Is gonna open up AutoCAD Autodesk 2016, the help file. It has pretty much everything that you could think of about AutoCAD, and this is a very great command to remember all the time, to look back and see how can you find things that you can figure out by your own. For example, I can just simply type line, L-I-N-E, and you hit enter, and here you go. How about again, line command? Sometimes you forget things, or how can I look for a new command? Just type here line command. You're gonna click on it and says, oh, and here it's gonna show you now an explanation of things. How are you gonna deal with it, and even sometimes questions and answers about this related topic. You can look into this, you can search that keyword using the users or the developer, which is again more accurate. So developer, that means someone is developing. How do I use support content folders in a deployment, and vice versa. Again, so many other options that you can use. Or you can just say all content. If you're interested to know anything about lines from all the contents, again, that's how you do it. So how can I get it again? It's just by clicking F1 on your keyboard. The second thing that I want you to know as a command is if you click on from your laptop or your keyboard F2. Once you click F2, this is what we call the status bar. This here is going to open up the command line to show you all what happened until this stage. So if you click escape, and now you see all what you see is just one single line. You can expand. How can I expand this command line to know what happened previously? You can click on this right here, command history, and if you can do it, all what you need to do again is F2. F2 again is going to open up the command line or the status bar. The next command for you to learn is options. How can I do options? Every single software has its own properties and has its own settings, and most of you will have your own preferences and how to deal with AutoCAD and how you would like to show up in your own computer. So one of the things that you need to learn is the options command. So if you go all the way again to the command line and just type OP and hit enter, that should open up options window for you. The options window for you is just show you all the options, all the configurations of AutoCAD and how can you change it the way you like. So in fact, you can start from files, displays, all the way to online, but again, I highly recommend you to go through each one of those tabs and customize them using your own preference. I will concentrate on the ones that they are more practical that we use on a daily basis as drafters. And let's start from display. So for display, you need to make sure that some of those things are, again, you tick mark some of the things that I'm going to ask you to do. One of the things is you need to show the tool tips. So it is there. So what's this for? Again, once you move your mouse a little bit close to the tick mark, it says control the display of tooltips on the ribbon, toolbars, and others. So you need to show that. What happens if I removed it? Again, remove it, hit OK. Again, if you go back to the explanation, again, it's not going to show you the tips behind. You see now? If I click on any one of these icons, remember previously, once you get close to any one of these icons, it's going to show up a little tips. What does it mean and what is it all about? Now I deactivated it. So please go back to options. And again, the way to get back here, OP, you hit enter. Now show tool tips, and here as you see there are different types of things that you can show or you can ask AutoCAD to show once you get close. Once you get your mouse close to any of these icons, you can show shortcut keys and tooltips, or you can show extended tooltips, and this is the number of seconds of delay. What does that mean? That means once you move your mouse on one of these icons for 2 seconds, after the second it would show you an explanation. So you don't want to have it 0 seconds, otherwise it's going to be tedious, because every time you're going to move your mouse from one icon to the other icon, it's just going to keep showing up tips. But if you're really interested to know more about that icon, simply you need to move your mouse to that icon for more than a couple seconds and it's going to show up. So let's do that and see. So for example, if I am interested to draw a circle and I don't know what are the options for that, so you go to the home tab, you leave the first icon, which is line, leave the second icon, which is polyline, go to the third one, and once you wait for 2 seconds, as you say, again it's going to open up more. So this is here shows you that this center radius, and this is one of the ways to draw circles, and I'm going to talk more about it in the next class. How can I draw a circle? There's several ways of defining a circle using AutoCAD. One of the easiest ways is simply knowing where is the center of the circle as well as the radius. So that's one of the great options that you gotta make sure is activated before you get going with AutoCAD. Also, again, you gotta make sure some of those tick marks are there, but also something, again, this is really purely your preference, is the crosshair size. Again, how much is the size of the mouse when you start drawing. So again, it's really up to you. You can move it up and down. Again, what is this? Again, if you get close to here, it shows you, it determines the size of the crosshairs as percentage of the screen size. So you can say 23%. And look at this. Now the size of the mouse is 23% of the overall screen, and that's pretty big. That's why we go back, type again OP, hit enter, and instead of 23, let's get it back to the way it used to be, which was about 5%. You click OK, and it's back. This is a regular, nice size, not too big, not too small. But again, it's your preference. If you like it bigger, if you like it smaller, you will get to have your own preference once you start drawing yourself. Let's get back to OP, hit enter. Another things, again, this is fade control. What's fade control? When you get close to it and say control the dimming of all the drawing X reference objects. You can get to know more about it in the help file, but I will leave them for now. The next tab that I would like you to investigate more is open and save. This is very important. You will be saving lots of drawings from now on using AutoCAD. And one of the first options that AutoCAD is going to ask you to set as a preference is save as. When you save any drawing using AutoCAD 2016, what version do you want to use it for? So I recommend you to use AutoCAD 2013. What does that mean? That means if you did a drawing using AutoCAD 2016 and you send it to a colleague, maybe not in your company, somewhere else or overseas, and they're still using an older version, they still can open your brand new file that was created using AutoCAD 2016 using an older versions all the way down to 2013. Again, this is your preference. Again, this is the default value, but it can be saved as a newer version, it can be saved as an older version, but typically most of the engineering companies, even overseas, they are 1 to 3 years behind the latest version. So saving it to 2013 if you're using the 16 version will be a safe option. Then you've got to make sure that AutoCAD would automatically save every certain amount of time. This is a very crucial point that you want to make sure it's there. What does that mean? That means assume you have a long day and you've been drawing a big building and it's 4:30 p.m. and you're about done, and there is an electricity outage. Your computer is shut down by itself if it's a desktop, and you would lose the whole drawing that you've been spending maybe 5 or 6 hours working on it if this option is not activated. So if you click automatic save, this is gonna automatically save your drawing every certain increment. So typically I do it every 10 minutes. You may think this is too much or it's too little. Again, it's your preference. If you make the automatic save every 2 minutes, if you're too scared, it's gonna slow down the drawing process because every 2 minutes you would see that your computer processor is gonna take some time and save some effort to save the drawing, the updated drawing, and that's gonna slow down your drawing capabilities. But if you're doing it every 30 or 40 minutes or even an hour, again you're making a big risk that maybe you're gonna lose a lot of your work in the last, again, 30 or 40 minutes if something wrong happens. So I would recommend you again to keep it somewhere between 5 to 15 minutes roughly. Again, the AutoCAD is The default value is 10 minutes and I've been using it and it worked out fine for me. But again, it's your preference. Another thing here that again, look up all the other options, but this is what I wanted to point out in specific. Next, I want to show you now all the way to drafting. This is also very important. So auto snap settings. This is very important and we're going to talk about it more, but I'm interested to show you this auto snap marker size. What does this mean, auto snap? It's basically if you would drawn a circle and now you want to draw a line from the center. AutoCAD has a great tool called Auto Snap or Object Snap that show the important points along every object that you may think it's an important point to start another drawing from. For example, a circle has a center and has a quadrants, 4 different points of quadrants. How can I do this? Again, if you click OK, click a circle, and this is a circle. I'm gonna show you more in details next time how am I gonna draw a circle, but for now if I want to draw a line, that line, you see, the good thing about object snap, when you get closer to any important point, for example, this point is not important. Again, most of the time we're not gonna draw a line from a point like here, but if I would probably draw a line from the center. So that green thing, once you get closer to the center, this is what we call object snap. It shows you that this is a good potential point that you might be interested to start a drawing from. So center is always the case, but also if you go here, this is now the quadrants. Quadrants are the 4 quadrants, and these are again very important. I'm going to show you more but about object snap, but for now, when we go to the object again, I'm interested to know that the size of the object snap piece. So if I go back now, hit escape and you go to OP, hit enter, and now we go to drafting one more time, and now you know what that means. This is the marker size. You can make it bigger, you can make it smaller, against all your preference. Same thing for this one here, the other. So this is sets the display size of the object snap target box in pixels. It's your preference, but once you set it up, you're all done. So that's about drafting. Let's jump to selection. Selection, that's also important, which is the pick box size, the grip size. And again, look them up. What do they exactly mean? We're going to talk about them more in the lessons to come. But again, sizing everyone. I see my students over the years, they have their own preferences, and I respect that. And everyone, again, they have their own size preference. So please make it your size and go from there. So by then, once you do all these preferences or the options that you like to see on AutoCAD and your version of AutoCAD, you've got to make sure that you click apply. All the changes that we've been talking about now, it's not going to be saved. You can click OK. You've got to click apply first. You've got to apply all these changes, and then once everything is applied, you hit OK. So once you do this, now everything is changed based on your preferences. Now let's move on to another introductory tool or command that you would really like to know at the beginning of any drawing, before you get even going with anything. And I'd ask you again to go to the command line and type UN. That's not United Nations, that refers to units. What are the units that we will be using in AutoCAD? So AutoCAD, as I said, is an international software that's used all over the world, and depending on where you're going to be using it, you need to define what are the units that you will be using. So you can use the decimal units, you can use engineering units, you can use scientific units, and also you've got to ask yourself, what are the units? Is it in inches or feet or even meters or centimeters? So it's not just about the SI units versus American units, it's also about the specifics. Like if I'm designing A football stadium, it's about feet, and the feet would be the major units that you'll be using. But if you are designing a little small tool in a car, you will be designing this using inches. Or if you're working overseas, things are going to be now way different, which is meters, centimeters, and it can go all the way to designing highways. Like this is my specialty as a pavement engineer, to design highways and designing roadways and things not in meters anymore. When you draw an interstate, for example, if you're driving from Tyler, Texas to Dallas, you will be driving mainly through Interstate 20. And if I want to draw Interstate 20 from these two big cities, you would be using kilometers if you are overseas, or you would be using miles all the way here if you are in the States. So you've got to set your units. Also the degrees or the angles. Is it in degrees? Is it in grades? Is it in radians? Or surveyor units? So most of the time we're going to be using degrees, but sometimes again if you're designing highways, if it's ups and downs, uphill or downhill, sometimes you use grades, and we'll talk more about this in these junior and senior classes in pavement engineering and highway design engineer. But for now we'll be using degrees and minutes and seconds, or sometimes using decimals, so it depends. But those are the two major things that we'll be using. It's a degree. We can use degree as decimals. For example, if I say there's a degree 3.4 degrees, that's a decimal system. If you want to change that to degree, minute, and seconds, you got to say 3.4. 3 is the degree, but 0.4 you've got to change it to minutes and seconds. I will go for now for decimals, and the precision, the precision would be just 0. Again, you can select your precision depending on the type of drawing that you're using. Okay, okay, and now you set your units. Another property or another command that you would like to know before you get going with drawing is properties. Every single item, for example, like this circle, has its own properties. The properties again can include what's the radius of this circle, what's the coordinates of the radius and the quadrants and all that. So how can you get the properties? You can get it using again two different ways. You can go and look at the icon, or you can just go here to the command line and type PR and hit enter. So these are again the properties. So if we click this circle, and it's gonna show you all the properties of this circle. So the color line this is a white line. This layer number 0, because we're gonna get to learn that you can do your drawing using different layers. But also the line type, again, the line type can be continuous line like what we have here, or it can be dashed or dotted. We can know now what's the center line, the center of this circle, and the x coordinate and the y coordinate. And since this is a 2D, that's why we don't see a center in the z-axis. We know the radius is 5.1843 inches. We know the diameter, we know the circumference, and we know the area. So pretty important information that you would need to know about this object. All this you can get from properties. So you can do it by just again typing. If you want to close this again, I close this. What you need to type is PR and hit enter, and that's the properties of that object. Okay, so where can I get this properties? If I forget about the command, you can go to click here. This is again the major icon for AutoCAD. Just open up, this is the new open save as window, if you will, and you can again, this is here how you click new open. But one of the ways to find the properties, if you click drawing utilities, and this is here where you can find the icon, because as I told you, we're gonna try to learn in this course, especially with AutoCAD, to know the command needed if you can find the icon, but also it's good to know and identify the right command. So for the units, the previous one, and instead of just typing UN, you can find it here, units. This is the icon, and this is the drawing properties. And this is drawing properties of the whole thing, but also you can see, again, this is drawing properties, the units and drawing properties. But if you want to have a property for a specific object, all what you need to do, again, just to go here and type PR, hit enter, and that's what shows. I know, again, this is a lot, but those are important commands that we need to learn before we get going with drawing itself. Another very important tool or command that you need to learn before you get to start to draw is object snap, which we talked about a little bit, but now it's time to talk about it more. How can I activate that? If you hit on your computer, especially on your keyboard, F3, and see what you notice here in the command, object snap or O snap, yeah, object snap off. If you click one more time, object snap on. What are you clicking again? F3. If you click F3 once, object snap off. Click one more time, object snap on. What does this mean? Let's see. Let's say I have this circle and I want to draw a line from the quadrant, from this quadrant. So if I go to line, click on the line, and I want to draw a line. See here, the object snap now is on, and that's why it's giving me a chance, and AutoCAD is giving me an idea that this is the exact point where is the quadrant. Now how about this? Click F3 one more time, and now object snap is off. Try now to go again to the line and try to do the same thing. Now you don't know exactly where is it. Even if you try to enlarge, let's say again I want to enlarge it. Again, we're gonna get to learn this more, but let's say view, again I'm jumping ahead, and I want to enlarge. So this is the circle, so it's very big, and I'm gonna ask you the same thing. Draw a line from the right quadrant while the object snap is off, and let's say again I'm trying my best, and I'm assuming again this is the quadrant. Now let's see, once I activated object snap, how far am I from the right point? So click F3 again, the object now is on, click line, and this was the quadrant. So there's a huge difference, as you can see, drawing with object snap or drawing without object snap. Same thing with drawing a line from the center. Let's say again, deactivate the object snap, click F3 one more time. Now the object snap is off. You go to line, and if I ask you now to draw a line from the center, again it's very hard to tell where is the exact center. I'm guessing this is the center, and I'm drawing any line from there just to identify that this is my guess. Now activate the object snap by clicking F3 one more time, click on the line, and where is, again I wanna make it larger. Okay, and let's see a view again. That's, I'm gonna get to learn this. Nothing. Okay, so now I'm gonna go to back to the home line. Now the thing is, object snap is activating not just the center, it's activating pretty much everything. That's why we want to make sure that there is a difference. So let's come to the line, and let's say this is the point. Now I'm gonna delete this. I delete this. Again, deleting, by the way, just click on the object and hit delete button. You see, the center is right here. This is the center. It's way far away from what I assumed is the center. Why is this again? Because the object snap was not activated. So I hope you see, again, it took us some time, but again, there's a difference between drawing with and without object snap. So how can I know what are the items that I need to identify as an object snap? If you go here, all the way down here, this is the icon to activate or deactivate the object snap. So now it's deactivated. If you click on it one more time, becoming blue, this means object snap now is activated. If you want to see what are the objects or what are the items that you want to show as object snap, again click here object snap settings, and that's what you need to learn, and that's what you need to open up. So there's so many things that you can show using object snap. You can be interested in endpoint. What does that mean? That means if you have any line has a beginning point or two endpoints, you would like to activate those, because most of the time when you start drawing a new item on the drawing, it will be from a beginning or the end of a previous line. This one here is the midpoint. This is very important. This is again one of the most important things is if you have a line, you would like to draw another line from the midpoint, from the middle point. So you need to activate that as well. You need to have the center. You need to have a node. You need to have a quadrant. You need to have an intersection. If there are two lines intersecting, you need to have that point as a point of interest. And you can have more. So sometimes engineers or drafters, they just select all just to make sure whenever they get close to any good or interesting point that they might be interested in, they select. So I would just say select all to have everything activated. So one more time, this is where you find you can click F3 to activate it or deactivate it, or you can go all the way down here and find the object snap icon and you can activate it or deactivate it. If you want to see the details, again you click here. This is a quick tool and of finding it. Again, if you want to activate or deactivate things, for example, I'm not interested in the intersection, you can just click on it, uncheck it, or if you're going to check it again, it's going to come back, or you can just click on object snap settings and to open up all the options that you may have. Very important to know. Next in our introductory lesson is the ortho mode. Ortho mode, as I said, most of the time, I would say 70% of the times of drawings would be lines that they are either horizontal or vertical. So how can I activate this instead of just drawing, instead of trying to make it exactly horizontal? You can click F8. Click F8 and look at the command line and what does it's going to show up. F8, ortho is on. Orthography, that means all the lines are orthogonal. That means they are making 90 degrees. That means all the lines from now on is going to be either horizontal or vertical. So let's go to the line. This is again the very first command that you will learn. And if you start from a certain point and you move up or you move down, again, as you can see, you will not be able to draw lines with any inclination, with any angle. It's going to be either vertical or horizontal. How can I deactivate it? You just click one more time on F8. That's how you activate it or deactivate it. How can I find the icon? This is the icon right here. You can activate it, and once you click on it, and once it's active, it's going to show in blue line or blue color. You're gonna see again, this is now, if it's white, ortho off, like what you see here, or if you click one more time, it's gonna be ortho on. That's how you do it. So either activate it or deactivate it, depends on what you're doing. Another command that's important, and I think I showed you the icon, which is the undo. You can undo things, you can go back and undo things, or if you can't find it, you can just type U. This is the command for undo. U. You keep clicking U, and that's how you undo things. Very important. Again, it's similar to what we do in the Microsoft Office, where we can go back. It's not like when we used to do drawings manually. If you draw something, you've got to erase it or maybe start from scratch. Here you have the capability to undo a step or even more than that if you would like to. And the command is U. How can I erase things? You can erase things using so many ways using AutoCAD. As I did before, you can select an object and just click delete from your keyboard. Or you can go to this icon right here, erase. It's like, again, it has a little eraser, and again, similar to Paint software, you go to any object, click on it, and then hit enter, and it's gone. If you can't find that icon, you can just go back here to the command line and type E, erase. That's the command for the erasing command. So here, and it's gone again. Zoom, that's also very important. You could see me again, sometimes we struggle with zooming. There's so many ways of zooming with AutoCAD. So if you type here in the command line Z, just Z letter, now as you can see, once we hit zoom, all of these are different types of zooming options that AutoCAD have. It can be zooming all, that means you can zoom the whole thing. It can be the center, it can be dynamic, it can be extents, that means just it zoomed until it reached the full extent of the picture. And you can, again, so many ways, and I highly recommend you again to look up all these options. But how can you activate it again? It's by zooming. There's just the one letter, Z. Where can you find the icon for it? Is if you click on view, and you should be able to locate it here, unless if it moved. So view, again, it's here you can find again different things, but the easy way, the good thing about AutoCAD 2016 versus the old versions, the zooming are already here. As you can see here, this is the zooming extent, but if you click on the little arrow, zoom window, zoom previous, zoom real time, zoom all. Look at this here. So zoom and zoom in and zoom out. So zoom in or zoom out. So all the options are here. So until 2014, we used not to see this zoom here tool right here, but now it is. That's why it's gone from the view, because it has its own place. But also, if you go to the command again and click Z, it's going to open up all the options for you. Another thing that's also nice to know is the pan. How can I move things easier? One of the things that you need to learn is the pan. You can, which is the hand right here. Click the pan, and it's gonna click now your left click, and you can move things around very easily. How can I find it, or how can I use the pan if I don't see it here for some reason? You can just type P, just one letter P on the command line. You hit enter, and now you can have the handle to move things back and forth. Another command that you need to learn before you get going is plotting. Now let's just say you have the best drawing and everything is perfect, and now you're getting close to the meeting time and you want to print something to your boss to see or to view it during a meeting. And so you can see it's here, plot. This is how you plot or print. And if you can't find it, you can just go to the command line and type plot, P-L-O-T, and it's gonna open up the plot window for you. So you can have a certain setup, page setup that you would like to, or just click none, and here where you will be able to see the printing or the printers that you may have at your office or at your company. Once you do this, a nice thing to know after you select everything, you can preview and then you hit OK. And once you hit OK, things are going to be printed. Here again, there's nothing to print, that's why it's showing me this. But you can click one more time, or click on the object, plot, and again, because I didn't, so one of the things here, again, you can select the printer. Once you select your printer, you can click preview. I highly recommend to preview what you have before you get going. This is how it looks like. So that's the plot option. So you need to identify what's your printer before you can preview. So all these are the printers. You select the printer. There are several options that I highly recommend you to take a look at, but mainly you need to know is what's your printer, and then preview. Sometimes, why do I recommend you to click on preview? Because it's just going to save you printing. Sometimes things are going to be moved away before you print, so make sure things looks the way you want it to look before you hit enter, or before you hit OK. That's how you plot things. Now the very last command in this class is, which we already talked about, is line. This is the most famous icon and the most famous command that you will ever use in AutoCAD, which is drawing lines. You can draw circles, you can draw curvatures, but the most famous one is line, and I think we already talked about this. This is under home. The very first icon here, line. How can you draw a line? You can draw a line by you click on line. Once you click on that, again, AutoCAD now is expecting you to specify the first point. If you know the exact X and Y coordinate of the beginning of the last line, you can write it. So for example, you can write, if I want to draw the line from a point that starts with, that has, the beginning point has 10 and 10 as an X and Y coordinates, you can type 10. And if you hit enter, that's the wrong thing. You always have to hit tab. Tab now, it moved from the X coordinate to the Y coordinate, as you could see, and you hit 10 again. And now, as you could see, this is the beginning point. This is the beginning point. And now it asks you, and as you can see here, specify the next point. So you can specify the next point by the length. Let's say again I want to draw a line that is 10, that has a length of 10. Hit 10, and then you hit tab, and then you need now to specify the angle. What's the inclination of this line? So let's say at 45 degrees, and you hit enter, and now you hit escape, and this is the line. If you can't find this icon right here, the command, which is again the famous command in AutoCAD, just type one letter L and hit enter, and again AutoCAD will understand that you want to draw a line. Let's draw a line from the center of the circle. So you go here, because we have the object snap on, you go here, click, and then now let's say you are interested to draw a line, and let's say they are interested to draw a line which is horizontal. Let's now activate the orthography option, which is F8. You hit F8, and all of a sudden you're going to see this line dropping in a horizontal line. Now all what you need to specify, instead of just a length, instead of a length and an angle, all what you need to do here is a length, and let's put just say 15. Hit escape, and that is the line. So I think with this we reached the end of the first overview lesson on AutoCAD. As I said, AutoCAD is always a learning process. I think now you got to know what AutoCAD is all about, and what are the icons that you may see, and how to deal with it, and what's the command line, and what are the options that you need to have. And next time we'll be talking more about some of the icons that you see here, and how are we gonna make use of them. Meanwhile, again, I highly recommend you to look at any YouTube tutorials to increase your knowledge in AutoCAD. But as I said, I promise you, by the end of this course, you will be having more than enough to get going and to use AutoCAD as your major tool to draw, design, and model. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.